All right, everybody, good news and bad news. Good news is I got some time to work on some stuff this week, and I did the stuff that I had to do. I needed to work on some podcast material because it'd be really bad if I didn't get the podcast done. So I did my work on that. So bad news is I didn't get to work on any YouTube content. I'm about ready to hit the road again. And then after that, we're going to be on this long vacation for my daughter's bat mitzvah. So that's going to be awesome, but that means I'm not going to have a whole bunch of time. So like January is when I'm going to get to do some work for some YouTube videos. So that means we're stuck with another shelf and probably a shelf next week, and we might get through my whole library before we get to new content. Not what I had planned, but we'll keep the YouTube channel, we'll keep it alive. We'll keep it popping with some shelf discussion, all right? So we're going to look at shelf number, what are we on? Shelf number 5. All right, here we go. I'm going to turn the camera around. All right, so we have done the 2 shelves downstairs, and we did those 2 shelves right over there, this in the last couple of videos. So now we're going to focus on this 3rd shelf here, right there in the middle there, and that's what we're going to look at. So we're going to get this little table out of the way. Yeah, okay. And we'll take a look at what we got here. What do we got up here? This is some fun stuff. There's my family from a few years ago. Yeah, picture's a little dated. Here's my certificate of ordination. Don't look close at that. There's a couple typos on there. But yeah, and then we got this fun little, so here's my little shelf of rocks, right? So every single one of these rocks has a story. And I would tell you all the stories, but it would ruin, if any of you get to come to Israel with me, I don't want to ruin special moments, but these are rocks that symbolize some special moments for me. They're kind of standing stones. They're reminders, if you will. So this is a rock I got on a hillside outside of Ephesus where we talked about chiseling our ears. Little piece of slag from the furnaces right outside of Egypt. Solomon's copper mines there. Little rock from a field. Just a field in the middle of Israel. Pretty cool lesson there. Let's see here. This is a rock that was actually given to me by a mentor from Qumran, and that's pretty cool. Somebody, before I even got to go to Israel, before I ever took a step in Israel, somebody gave me this rock and said that they thought my legacy was the legacy of Qumran, and I didn't even know how real and how true that would be, so that's cool. And then there's this rock here, which is actually, if I remember right, from this picture, this photograph here, is one of the more, if I zoom in, you see me standing there, the glare. There I am. I was standing there. That's right outside of a place called Timnah, the Timnah Mines. And that was a lesson I heard on leadership that was super convicting. And that's a picture of my dusty sandals from that first Israel trip. I wanted to remember that. This is kind of like a little section of standing stones for me, a little inspiration shelf, if you will. This watch was a watch that I was wearing and stopped working, almost dead at 9 o'clock. Look at that. But stopped working when I jumped in the Jordan River. So I kept that watch to remember that. And then, of course, I got a little candlestick holder, a little Sabbath candle holder here. That's cool, huh? City of Jerusalem. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. And of course, we can't miss the opportunity to talk about, I had a disciple make me a little Bengals piece of art there. Yeah, Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah. Had a great weekend against the Steelers this week. That's what I'm talking about. We on our way to the playoffs? Maybe. Could we win a playoff game? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, here we are. Let's see here. What's on this shelf here? We got a little section here. Kind of a continuation. This is kind of a continuation. We talked about some books about postmodernity here on this shelf last time, and this kind of continues right over here. So we've got a few more conversations here about Adventures in Missing the Point. Was an interesting book. George Barna's Revolution. I thought that had some really good stuff at the time. Some great research there. Brian McLaren talking about evangelism in a postmodern world. Out of Sorts by Sarah Bessey is one of my favorite books. Reimagining Church by Frank Viola, pretty decent book. Reason for God by Tim Keller, about the only Tim Keller book you're ever going to hear me say positive things about. But I actually really like Tim Keller. He's not from the worldview or the hermeneutic that I call my own, but yeah. Aqua Church by Leonard Sweet, decent stuff in there. Divine Magician by Peter Rollins. I love Peter Rollins. He makes my head hurt. More Peter Rollins. How Not to Speak of God. More Peter Rollins. Fidelity of Betrayal. Just such a cool thing. A bunch of stuff I haven't really written. More Ready Than You Realize. I think that's more Brian McLaren books on evangelism. More books on evangelism. Just Walk Across the Room by Bill Hybels and Contagious Christian. I mean, those were okay. They were helpful for teaching me how to think about things like evangelism, discipling the nations. I haven't read this one. I haven't read Evangelism in the Early Church yet. I haven't read Gentle Persuasion. I think I read Good News, whatever. Master Plan of Evangelism, Robert Coleman. I mean, that's a pretty staple work. I'm going to try not to say anything negative about it. Let's see here. What do we got? The Logic of Evangelism. Okay, haven't read that one. Here's a couple books that really, man, these aren't on my favorite shelf. I would probably heavily critique these books today, but these two books radically shaped my understanding of what the church was and what the church could be. Like, I'm probably super grateful for these books. Again, I don't think I would recommend these books today, but just at the time of life, I think I was in Bible college. I was a pastor, and these books said maybe the church shouldn't just be about church growth. Maybe the church shouldn't just be about themselves. Maybe the church is about other people. Like, wow, that's a novel concept. And those books are kind of what opened that up for me. Red Letter Revolution, decent book. I have not read some of these. Very good gospel. Let's see. Follow Me to Freedom was a pretty good book long before. Pretty good book on race, kind of before it was a cultural hot topic. And the Very Good Gospel. Our organization's leadership actually read this. Lisa Sharon Harper. Good book there. And then I get down to my commentary section. So again, remember, this is my shelf of commentary. So we started with the Torah all the way down there, and we kind of worked through the Gospels, and that was all Luke. Oh, I got a new book. So remember this book, right? The Evangelist Calendar, right? Yeah. This really nice, big, expensive, crazy book, which is now on Kindle for $10. It doesn't have the full diagram in the back, everybody, but it has most of it. It has about 2/3 of the diagram in the back, and it's on Kindle for $10. This kind of hard copy is $900, but copy on Kindle is $10. But then I was on a recent road trip, and somebody gave me Goulder's first work. So before this book, well, I think it was before this book, Goulder wrote this, Midrash and Lection in Matthew. I cannot wait to dive into that. So that, I'm just so indebted that people love me that much that they give me those kinds of crazy academic books. But okay, so now we get over here to, here's some, is that a Happy Father's Day card? What is that? Oh yeah, check this out. This is for my son. Yeah, check that out. Boy, those are cool, huh? Happy Father's Day. I love that. Freaking awesome. Okay, so down here, let's see here. We've got some work on John. So 2 works that we're about ready to do, a verse-by-verse journey through John in the podcast. This is a great resource. Interpreting the Gospel of John by Dr. Gary Burge. I think one of the most renowned experts in the Gospel of John alive today is Dr. Gary Burge. I take flack whenever I recommend this, but I liked it. I thought it was excellent. Reading the Gospel of John through Palestinian eyes, Johanna Catanaccio. I haven't liked every single thing that I've read from him, but this was just a great resource. I actually wish the front half of the book was about 3 times as big as it was. I had a friend that wrote Miracles of Messiah. Let's see. This book was okay. This book was like, yeah, I mean, it was what it was. This book was wah, wah, wah. I just wish College Press would put out something that wasn't garbage. Would be great. Let's see here. Acts. I'm really looking forward. I haven't read any of these. I'm really looking forward to the International Critical Commentary. Ben Witherington. Come on now. Oh, excited about that. Fee. I'm assuming that's Gordon Fee. I read this one back in Bible college. It was okay for your standard reading of Romans, but it's not the way I would read Romans today. Oh, man, and a bunch of stuff I haven't really... More Witherington. I'm super excited about that. And then more International Critical Commentary. James Dunn. Oh, come on now. I am so excited to read that. Oh, my goodness. Witherington on Galatians. Super excited. One of my favorite books we recommended in the podcast. Thomas Lancaster, The Holy Epistle to the Galatians. Guys, I'm super excited about some of these commentaries. And I don't really get excited about commentaries, but there's some good resources on that shelf. Many of which I haven't even read yet. Oh, and then we got like a whole bunch of, like, this is a weird shelf. This is like my business, this is my worldly wisdom shelf right here, okay? I don't think I've read much of anything here yet. What do we got here? I haven't read that. I haven't read Blue Ocean Strategy. I have read Principles. I found it to be helpful in a lot of ways. Essentialism was okay. Yeah, I haven't necessarily... Oh, this is a Gerald Grant. Really kind of like a basic primer on kind of financial advising and investing, like retirement, future financial planning, that kind of thing. The Great Handoff was decent. Viewpoints was a decent resource. This is what we used when we get trained to do campus ministry. We use Support Raising Solutions as our boot camp, and these are their textbooks. I wouldn't say that it blew my mind, but they were good. They were good. Oh, what a great book. Everything Must Change. So this was kind of our worldly wisdom money. That's the worldly wisdom section of my library, guys. That's it. That's my money section right there. Which maybe I'm proud that it's that small. That's great. And then right here is kind of like maybe my social justice, at least part of my social justice. Everything Must Change. The Cost of Community was a great book. Executing Grace about the death penalty was really good. The New Friars. I have not read that one. I have not read Hope Lives or Too Small to Ignore. Hole in the Gospel by Stearns was excellent. I have a good friend, Jen Tarbell, who didn't help. She wrote this book with Lance. $4.83. That's a cool book about how you can change a kid's life through sponsorship. Walking with the Poor. I haven't read that one. The Role of Women in the Church, I remember right, was disappointment. Role of Biblical Womanhood, Rachel Held Evans. Not my favorite Rachel Held Evans book, but it was good. Equal but Different. Wasn't a massive fan of that one. Women in the Church. I think this was actually the one that was quite disappointing. I cannot remember how I felt about this one, to be honest. Oh, let's see here. What else do we got? Last shelf here. This is my section on prayer. How far does the prayer thing go? Yeah, let's see here. So we got, I have not read this one, but we got the Symbala books. Those are really popular. Batterson's Circle Maker was not my favorite book by Batterson at all, but it had its moments. And then Dean Troon was the founder of the organization that I lead today. Impact Campus Ministries was founded by Dean Troon. And he wrote a couple books, God's Divine Appointments and The Path Toward Passion. And they're just like playbooks for the culture of our ministry. Man, Richard Foster, more Richard Foster. Which one is this one? This one is Longing for God, Streams of Living Water. I have not read these. I don't think. It would have been years ago if I did, but Richard Foster is just a giant in the world of spiritual practices, so I'm super excited about that. I haven't read some of these. Along Obedience, the Same Direction. What a great book. Eugene Peterson, come on. I haven't read some of these. Sacred Way by Tony Jones. I would look forward to that. Another Eugene Peterson book, The Contemplative Pastor. Excellent, excellent book. Those were on my favorite shelf for a long time before they fell off the end. But Eugene Peterson, never going to let you down. Let's see here. This one should be good. I haven't read it yet, though. J.I. Packer. Let's see here. The Vulnerable Pastor. I think I had another copy of that over on a left shelf. Evolution of Faith. I'd say he's more of a universalist, obviously coming from a much more theologically liberal position than most of us would be comfortable with. But I did appreciate the challenge of this book. I thought it was good. Everything is Spiritual by Rob Bell. If you know me and Rob Bell, you know I like him. I like that book. That was a great book. Don't grill me in the comments about that. I'm not interested. I haven't read many of these books. Philokalia, Epic Faith, I read that one. Written by some YWAM folks. Guy by the name of Marty from YWAM wrote those two books. They were okay. What do we got here? The Most Difficult Journey You'll Ever Make. Have not read that one. And then down there we just got more Bible college material from my days in college. Look at this thing. This is my Restoration History notebook. So the history of the Restoration movement, the Stone Campbell movement, Christian churches, Churches of Christ. Man, that was a class. I think that's my biggest binder from college, which probably says something, but man, there you go. There's my journey through, what is that, shelf number 5. So there you go, everybody. That's shelf number 5. We'll see what kind of conversation we can cook up for shelf number 6. I think we have 4 shelves left. So 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 shelves in my house altogether. So we got 4 more. So we'll see where the conversation takes us. But until then, talk to you on the next one.